If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. On September 28, 2024, she will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on September 26th, and that his prophetic funeral, in which Trump will sit next to Obama, will be on October 1st. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on the same day as Jimmy Carter's funeral on October 1st. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a direct energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that this direct energy weapon will be used by Barack Obama when he is sitting next to Trump at the funeral. I am predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on September 27th. I am predicting that Israel will bomb Iran on September 28th. God is pointing to these dates regarding these two events, September 27th and September 28th. However, it is believed that more than likely these will be steps in the trail of signs. We should receive prophetic signs related to these events on these dates that will reveal more information as to when exactly these two events will occur. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on Wednesday, September 25th at 3 a.m. This is because of Simon and Garfunkel's first album named Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on October 3rd, 2024. Which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for October 3rd, that will knock out the power grid, will also knock many planes out of the sky. October 3rd, the Feast of Trumpets in the Hebrew calendar, will be the day of the resurrection rapture event. It will be the first of 3 raptures. I am predicting that on October 4th, 2024, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. October 4th will be a symbolic beginning to the 5th trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. October 4th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens, and it is possible that on October 4th, Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. October 4th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. October 4th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. It is predicted that after Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as his vice president, I am predicting that Joe Biden will step down and Michelle Obama will become the 47th president on October 12th, 2024. I am predicting that President Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president on October 12th, 2024. I am predicting that Michelle Obama will step down and Barack Obama will become the 48th president on November 2nd, 2024. November 24th, 2024, the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, will be the date of the second of 3 raptures. It is predicted that on November 16th, 2024, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that on November 23rd, 2024, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. November 23rd will also be the date of the third of the 3 raptures. President Trump and RFK Jr. are the 2 witnesses in Bible prophecy in Revelation chapter 11. It is predicted that RFK Jr. will be shot and killed on November 7th, 2024. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, will be on December 26th, 2024. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about the amazing signs, the prophetic signs that occurred on September 18th that reveal the date that it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on September 28th. The date that it is predicted that dirty bombs will explode in New York City on October 11th. It also reveals or confirms that Michelle Obama will become the 47th president after it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash. And the signs on September 18th also reveal this. And these signs also reveal the date of the rapture, the date when God's faithful will be rescued from the coming period of the Antichrist in persecution of quote-unquote Christians. In other words, there will be quote-unquote Christians that won't make the rapture because their faith will be tested in this period of the Antichrist, which is the purpose of this period of the Antichrist. But those who are worthy of escaping the things that are coming, as Jesus said to always pray for, will be caught up in the air and meet the Lord and be with the Lord on October 3rd, the date of the rapture, which is confirmed through the signs that occurred on September 18th. So let's explain. On September 18th, Michelle Obama was in a Costco promoting her new drink called Plezzy Fizz. In the movie, first of all, the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 1971 classic, not the 2000, I don't know, 12 or something, I don't know. Not the remake Johnny Depp, Tim Burton movie, which is garbage. Really, literally, it is a horrible movie because they didn't get it. The reason why they didn't get it is because they weren't righteous. They aren't righteous people. They didn't understand the reason why this movie was so connected with people was because of the theme in the movie that they completely didn't get, because they are not with God. Because the truth is, the Gene Wilder 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie is literally a gift from God. It is designed by God. Now, to explain that more, I explain it in the Willy Wonka video on this channel. It is one of the most important videos on this channel. You're going to have to search for it, though, but make sure you do search for it, because you will get this most beautiful thing you've ever heard. This explanation for how Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is God's gift to explain the meaning of life. That's correct. The Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie explains the meaning of life, okay? Now, I'm not going to get into it here because I already explained it in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Willy Wonka video on this channel. So go find it. Now, that's why God is using Willy Wonka in his signs. This is an example of this. Because when Michelle Obama was promoting her new Plezzy Fizz drink, it points to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original one, and the drink that Wonka is working on in his factory called fizzy lifting drink. And that's very interesting because in the movie, it's all about burping, and I just burped. I thought I'd throw that in there, and the reason why I did that wasn't really just to make a joke. It really was, I believe, confirmation. The Lord works this way. And so, and I hadn't been burping before this, So anyway. In the movie, to explain the burping, when they take the drink, the fizzy drink, behind Wonka's back, so they think, they begin floating up into the air, and they are about to get caught up in the very, very high ceiling fans and get chopped to pieces. And to counter this, they start burping and then slowly float back down to the ground. This is Charlie and his grandfather. Now, they think that Wonka didn't see them steal a sample of the fizzy lifting drink. But this is all part of the test, which is why this is all part of God's explanation for the meaning of life. Anyway, the story of the Wonka movie is that if they make it through a tour of the factory without disregarding the rules, which is to not test anything along the way, then they will be rewarded with a lifetime's worth of chocolate. Okay? Now, one by one, Charlie's peers, the other kids, fall victim to their temptation, to the temptation to test the different things, and they are eliminated violently. It's supposed to be a kid's movie, but it's not really. It is an adult movie, as I'm explaining here. And but we don't really know what happens to them. We kind of think that something violent happened to them and they met their doom, but we don't know. But that's all part of the plot. Anyway, at the end of the tour, only Charlie and his grandfather are left. And so they're kind of happy because they think they've just won a lifetime's worth of chocolate. They were the last ones to make it. And then Wonka explains to them, sorry guys, you thought that we didn't see you. You thought that I didn't see you take the fizzy drink, but you guys disobeyed the rules and you took the fizzy drink. You sampled the fizzy drink. Okay? Now, I should say here, okay, so I'll just say at that time, at that moment, Charlie's grandfather gets angry. And he starts, laying into Willy Wonka for him being supposedly dishonest and cheating a young boy out of chocolate, etc. And the grandfather says to Charlie, his grandson, behind Wonka's back, don't worry, we got the everlasting gobstopper, and we're going to sell it to Wonka's competition for $1 million. Because before the movie began, each of the kids that received the golden ticket inside the wrapper of their chocolate bars to get the tour of the chocolate factory, each of them were approached by Willy Wonka's competition. I forget his name. And he tells them if they can bring him a sample of Willy Wonka's everlasting gobstopper, a candy that Wonka is working on, supposedly a candy that never melts, never goes away. It's everlasting. It continues to keep going and going forever. You don't suck on it and then it disappears. It just keeps going. So anyway, they'll get $1 million if they can get him a sample during the tour and bring it to him after the tour. So to get even with Willy Wonka, Charlie's grandfather says, don't worry, we'll get him. We got the everlasting gobstopper. Because during the tour, Wonka gave each of them a sample, a gobstopper, an everlasting gobstopper. But he said to them before he gave it to them, you have to promise me that you won't give it to anyone. You won't give it away. You won't let the competition, I don't know if he mentioned the competition, maybe he does, but you can't do anything with it. You can't sell it. You can't, give it away to anyone else, okay? You got to just keep it for yourself and not tell anyone about it or something like that. That was the rules. That was the condition. And they all agreed, and so they took the everlasting gobstopper. Okay? And so Charlie's grandfather thinks that Wonka has cheated him out of the prize, but that's not the truth, and he knows it. But he's anyway telling Charlie, don't worry, we got the everlasting gobstopper. We'll get back. We'll get even here. Okay. Now, I should mention that at the beginning of the movie, Gene Wilder, even before Gene Wilder, because there was competition to get the part of Willy Wonka, a lot of actors wanted the part. Gene Wilder won the part, and part of the reason is he wrote a long description of how he would play Willy Wonka. And it included him in his first appearance in the movie when he proposed that he walk out hunched over with a cane, walking up to the group that were ready to get the tour. And then suddenly the cane gets stuck in the ground and he keeps walking and then realizes that he's not got the cane and still is hunched over and still is able to walk. And then he just flips into a somersault, jumps up into the air, and shows everyone that he was just kidding. He doesn't need a cane and he's not hunched over. He's normal and very active and able. So the message here, the theme is things aren't as they appear. All right? And that's the theme of this story here, that things aren't as they appear. And before the tour begins, Wonka has each of them sign a contract saying that if anything were to happen to them, that they can't sue him, okay? And so, as I mentioned, they go through the tour, and one by one, it seems like they're all meeting their doom through various ways of testing the candy throughout the tour. For example, someone falls into a big lake of chocolate and then gets sucked up into a big pipe, a translucent pipe. You can see him getting sucked up with the chocolate into a pipe and goes out the room, And anyway, that sort of thing. So, but at the end of the tour, we have this scenario where they thought they were going to win the lifetime's worth of chocolate, but they in fact cheated as well, just like everyone else. But they thought that Wonka didn't see it. So, okay, and so then after Wonka explains to them, I'm sorry, you guys actually took the fizzy drink. That's what, coming back to Michelle Obama again, who was promoting the fizzy drink. You guys took the fizzy drink. You didn't think we saw you, but we did. So the tour is over. You guys don't win any chocolate. You guys can show yourselves out. You know where the exit is. And I'm busy. I've got some work to do. See you later. Okay? And that's how the tour ends. Oh, but prior to that, Wonka is playing the host, and the tour is quite lengthy. But he just all of a sudden is very cold and dismissive. Well, he's in fact cold throughout the tour, actually. He's not, okay. He's mysterious. Things aren't as they appear. He's mysterious. He's aloof. He's not cold, but he's aloof throughout the whole tour. Like when people get sucked up the pipe, he's aloof. He's like, okay, let's go. Continue with the tour here, when people are meeting their doom. So, but at the end of the tour, he's cold, and he says, there's the door. Okay, I got some work to do. I'm busy. See you later. And then he goes to his office, and Charlie and his grandfather are left standing there. And Charlie has just been told by his grandfather, we're going to get even, don't worry. We'll sell the everlasting gobstopper to the competition. And then Charlie, who is the sweet, nice kid. The other kids in the movie are extreme representatives of brats in different ways, but they're all brats. And Charlie is the one that isn't. The contrast is made quite apparent in the plot of the movie. There's emphasis on how Charlie is in contrast with the other kids who are selfish brats. Okay? So Charlie's left standing there after having just been spoken to by his grandfather about not living up to his word about not selling the everlasting gobstopper. And Charlie's standing there and he thinks about it. And he thinks about it, and then he decides that he's going to walk to Willy Wonka's office and go into his office without his grandfather. And he goes into the office, and Wonka doesn't even pay attention to him. He's looking down, doesn't even make eye contact with him, and he's looking down at his desk, pretending to be doing some paperwork. Well, he's doing some paperwork. I shouldn't have said pretending. He's doing some paperwork or something. He's busy. He's not paying attention. He doesn't even acknowledge that Charlie has walked through the door of the office. Charlie then takes the gobstopper out of his pocket and places it on the desk of Wonka. And he says to Wonka, "I'm sorry, I can't do this. Here is your gobstopper back." Okay? And then Willy Wonka's head lifts up with a huge smile that we haven't seen throughout the movie. This is the end of the movie. He lifts his head up with a huge, beautiful, joyful smile and looks at Charlie. And he says to Charlie, "Charlie, I knew it. I knew you would come through, Charlie. I knew that you would be the one to come through in the end." And right at that moment, the competition guy walks through the back door of the office. And Wonka then begins to explain the truth about what has been happening. It was a setup. It was a test. It was a test of righteousness. It was a test for the kids to have them think that they weren't being watched, and when Wonka had left the scene, they could help themselves to a sample of the candy. Just like it is God's prerogative to make it as if he's not there. He has wisely chosen to partially hide himself. And so life is like the tour of the chocolate factory. Things aren't what they seem. And God doesn't seem to be present. And God seems to be aloof, like Willy Wonka was aloof. God seems to be aloof and uncaring, like Willy Wonka seemed to be uncaring when the bad things happened to the people that fell away along the way. Willy Wonka, in other words, is a parallel with God the Father. And Willy Wonka in the movie then explains to him, Charlie, what's been going on. And he explains to him, I had to do this. I had to do this. I had to make it seem that what was going on wasn't what was in reality going on, in order to get the outcome that I wanted, which was to give Charlie not a lifetime's worth of chocolate, but the factory. Willy Wonka explains that he's retiring and he needs to pass the factory on to someone. He needs to have someone take over the factory, possess the kingdom of heaven, in other words. And he explains to Charlie he couldn't give it to an adult. He couldn't give the factory to an adult because then they would end up doing it their way. He needed to give the factory to a kid, a child, an innocent child, so that they could continue the factory the way Willy Wonka wanted the factory to continue. This is the metaphor for what Jesus was describing when he said that people need to be born again and be like a child to inherit the kingdom. The inheriting of the chocolate factory, symbolism for the kingdom, could only be inherited by a child, because otherwise an adult would do it their way. That's why to be born again, one needs to become like a child and not want to do things their way and want to do things God's way. In other words, they need to become humble. The opposite of pride, which in the Bible is the root of sin. And so that's why the setup of the everlasting gobstopper, furthermore, is also a hint at everlasting life. The everlasting life of the gobstopper is a confirmation or coinciding with this inheriting of the kingdom and everlasting life. Then, after Wonka has explained the reality of what has been happening, the two of them shoot up into the sky. They're rocketed into the sky in a contraption, and that's the end of the movie. But that's also an allegory for entering the kingdom. So, nowhere have I read that this movie is, and this book, because it was a book before the movie, was written by a Christian as allegory for the meaning of life. This was all designed by God. This movie is truly portraying the truth about life. We get to make a decision. The kids along the way made their decisions to live for the moment. YOLO, you only live once. Get yours. Taste the candy now. Instead of sacrificing so that you can get your inheritance in the kingdom and take possession of the kingdom. Because that's something that most quote-unquote Christians don't fully appreciate, is what their existence will be in the kingdom. It's kind of a mystery, actually, for most Christians. They have really no concept of what will be happening. But what will be happening is that they'll still be working. They'll be running the kingdom. Like Charlie, who was given possession of the kingdom in order to run it, to operate it, to be Wonka's representative. there will be more to come after this period, this age is finished, when God's faithful become his priests and rulers in the coming age. But that requires proving themselves to be worthy of this responsibility in the coming kingdom, which Charlie proved through his actions. Okay, so back to these prophetic signs that occurred on September 18th. Now I've given you the background as to how the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie is extremely important in God's plan. It is a movie from God, and we have here on September 18th a Willy Wonka and a Chocolate Factory prophetic sign. Okay, so again, Michelle Obama was in a Costco promoting her new drink called Plezzy Fizz. It's so analogous to the Chocolate Factory tour and Wonka promoting his new fizzy drink. Okay? Because, all these candies that they're being shown in the factory are all in prototype production, just like, it's the new drink that Michelle Obama was promoting, and it was called, and its name is Fizz. This hints at the name of the drink in the movie, which is fizzy lifting drink, because they lift up into the air after drinking it, which is symbolic of being raptured into the air as described in Bible prophecy. Furthermore, at the end of the movie, as I just explained, they also get rocketed up into the air, which is a match with the meeting the Lord in the air in Bible prophecy at the time of the rapture. The fizzy lifting drink lifts people into the air. The rapture is meeting the Lord in the air. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is about the kingdom. In the final scene, Wonka and Charlie are rocketed into the air. The rapture is 15 days after Michelle promoted the fizz drink. The 15th prime number is 47. Michelle Obama is predicted to become the 47th president. That is amazing. That is why God used Michelle Obama to reveal the date of the rapture right here. The date of the rapture was known prior to September 18th, but this is an astounding confirmation. Here is more confirmation, and there is much more to be learned here in what God is revealing through the signs that occurred on September 18th. On the same day that Michelle was selling in Costco, ESPN's lead NBA insider announced on X, which God uses X to symbolize the mark of the Antichrist, because the mark of the Antichrist alters a person's chromosomes, which are in the shape of an X. Okay? And the company 23andMe, which takes samples of people's from people to get a sample of their DNA. Okay, so on the same day that Michelle was selling in Costco, the ESPN's lead NBA insider announced on X he's retiring from the outlet to become the general manager of the St. Bonaventure men's basketball program. He is sacrificing 4 times 4 plus $4 million a year salary for something he believes in. This is about buying and selling. Michelle was selling something. She was selling in Costco, and this was symbolism for selling the mark of the Antichrist. Due to food shortages, that those who have taken the mark of the Antichrist Due to food shortages that are coming, those who have taken the mark of the Antichrist will be restricted from buying and selling food, as described in Bible prophecy. This will be how the Antichrist enforces the mark of the Antichrist through programmable digital currency, and the restriction from buying and selling the food that is in shortage to only the good citizens who have taken the mark of the Antichrist. Michelle was selling food in a Costco, which is a place for buying food. She was in the Costco in Livermore, which is near San Francisco, and on this same day, 7 board members of 23andMe, the company, resigned. This company that is about documenting people's genetic code, okay? Their chromosomes. And again, that's why it's 23, because there's 23 chromosomes. Michelle Obama's husband is the basketball president who wore jersey number 23. Okay, 23andMe is about people's 23 pairs of chromosomes. Their chromosomes are changed in their body's organs, and Michelle Obama was in Costco in Livermore, California. Livermore hints at a person's liver, plus, as in more, the additional snake venom chromosomes that have been inserted into their chromosomes, those who have taken the mark of the Antichrist, which is the thing. The CVD pointy thing is the mark of the Antichrist in its current form. It does not need an additional technology to go with it, such as an additional or a false form of religious worship or a supposed new age of dispensation that, after all, supposedly quote-unquote Christians are raptured. The commonly held objections that people have based on their understanding of Bible prophecy are answered in the must-watch snake bite video. But make no mistake, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction, and this prediction is from God, is to prove what I have just said. Case closed, end of debate, no more discussion. It is the mark of the Antichrist in its current form. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that one cannot repent after having taken the mark of the Antichrist. The mark is symbolized by 666 in Bible prophecy. 15 days is also 6 times 6 times 600 minutes. The rapture will rescue God's faithful from the coming persecution related to the mark of the Antichrist. The CEO was one of those who resigned from 23andMe, and her name is Ann, it's a Polish name, Wojcicki, or whatever. The ESPN personality is Adrian Wojnarowski, okay, another Polish name. Both begin with a W-O-J. W is the 23rd letter in the alphabet. And W went to Yale University in Connecticut, and Adrian W is from Bristol, Connecticut. Connecticut is the 5th state to join the Union. The people who took the thing had their 23 chromosomes altered, and because of this, 5G frequencies will induce demonic possession in these people. Ann W and Adrian W were born 11 times 23 days apart. 1123 is the 188th prime number, and H188 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance is the word woe exclamation mark, used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. This is 253 days, and 253 is the 22nd triangular number. The number 22 symbolizes the mark of the Antichrist. Because the inverse of the mark of the Antichrist described in the book of Ezekiel would have been a Tav mark, and the Tav letter is the last and 22nd letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and the mark of the Antichrist is described in the last book of the Bible, the 22nd out of 22 books in the Bible that have a total of 22 chapters. Woj, W-A-J-O, is equal to 48 in simple English gematria, and the 48th president is the Antichrist, who will enforce the mark of the Antichrist thing. Pointy thing. He will take complete control of the food supply, as did Caesar Augustus in 22 AD, which is why the Antichrist Obama was born in August. On the same day that Michelle was selling food in Costco and the ESPN personality made a financial sacrifice, the historic company Tupperware filed for bankruptcy. Tupperware is a company that produces products for food storage. This too hints at the coming food shortage. The ESPN personality Adrian W. announced he was resigning. It was a shock for the basketball world. Adrian W. was known for dropping Woj bombs, W-H-O bombs, quote unquote. His resignation announcement was one such Woj bomb. This was on the day that Ann W. and others resigned from 23andMe, and Michelle Obama was nearby, San Francisco. Michelle's husband is the basketball president who wore jersey number 23, will become the 48th president, and his name Obama hints at Obama. Now, one thing that I didn't write that came to me after is the significance of how it was 7. 7 is God's signature number, but it was 7. What made the story is that it was 7 members of the board that resigned all at once. So 7 members of 23andMe resigned. You have to figure that something nefarious is going on to cause 7 members of the board to resign on the same day. Something happened. And that's not a surprise for those that have been aware of what is going on, which is that 23andMe is a company that symbolizes the chromosomes that have been changed. But even more than that, there could be a role for the company itself in keeping track of who has taken the mark of the I don't know about that. I think we can speculate, but what we do know for sure is that it is symbolism. Okay? That's why the Antichrist wore number 23, as I explained, because it points to the 23 chromosomes that are altered by the mark of the Antichrist. Okay? And so it was 7 members that resigned in San Francisco, and Kamala Harris is from San Francisco, and she was the city attorney general of San Francisco, and it is through her death that the Antichrist will become the president again. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama, which is why Michelle was near San Francisco on the day of the 7 resignations. And then Michelle will appoint Barack Obama as her vice president after Joe Biden steps down and she becomes the president. And then she will step down and Barack Obama will become the president on November 2nd. Okay, but again, Kamala Harris is from San Francisco. Michelle Obama was near San Francisco on the day that 7 resigned from 23andMe, which is very Antichrist and symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist. And Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash in St. Louis near where the 2 eclipses engendered an X in the shape of a chromosome, a pair of chromosomes over the U.S. So that's also how this ties together, of those of 23andMe. On the day that the other guy announced on X, she will die at the X of America 7 days later after he announced on X on the same day that the other 7 resigned from 23andMe, which hints at the X of chromosomes. And that's why it was in San Francisco, because she's from San Francisco, and Michelle Obama, who will replace her, was near San Francisco on this day. So in other words, these signs on this day also reveal that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis near the X, or the center of the X. And by the way, X's are two straight lines that cross each other in their center. So X's are all about the midpoint. The two eclipses, the one in 2017 and the one in 2024 that traversed America, engendered an X over America, which is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist, because the mark of the Antichrist changes a person's chromosomes. And these two dates of these eclipses point to the mid date, the midpoint of the two eclipses, because again, X's are about their midpoint. So the midpoint date of the two eclipses that engendered an X was December 14th, 2020. That was the day that the first American took the thing outside of a trial. It was the symbolic day for the mark of the Antichrist, which was being pointed to with the eclipses that engendered an X. So that's why Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash near the midpoint of the X over America, 7 days after the resignations of the board members, 7 board members of 23andMe in San Francisco. It's absolutely amazing. And then again, the rapture will be the escape from the mark of the Antichrist 15 days later, because Michelle Obama will be the 47th president after the death of Kamala Harris, and 47 is the 15th prime number. And again, the other Adrian W. announced his Woj bomb announcement of his resignation on X. All right, we have an update here. September 25th, as I said, 7 days after September 18th, and these signs, including the 7 board members of 23andMe, is now believed to be the date on which it is predicted that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die. Paul Simon is intimately tied to Kamala Harris, as explained in other videos. And so anyway, I'll leave it at that. And I'll just continue on with the theme of this video. This Adrian W. is from the 5th state. Ann W. attended Yale in the 5th state, as I mentioned earlier. The signs involving them on September 18th are 5 + 5 days before it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash near the I-55 highway on September 28th. That's very relevant. This I-55 highway that God is using in his signs, it connects Chicago, the home of the Antichrist, to St. Louis, where it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash, and Barack Obama will become the president again through her death. And the reason why the X of the eclipses centered over near St. Louis is that it was over the area of the country nicknamed Little Egypt, because in the Bible, the king of Egypt is symbolic of the Antichrist. And St. Louis, in turn, is connected with the I-55 to Little Egypt, including Memphis, Tennessee, and on in God's signs, okay? Also, the reason for 55 is not only that it is hinting at the 5G frequencies that will facilitate the mass demonic possession of those who have taken the mark of the Antichrist, as alluded to in the 5th trumpet of judgment in the book of Revelation. But in the Bible, it is said that the most evil king in Israel's history ruled for 55 years. That's why the I-55. Ann W. resigned from as CEO in San Francisco, and Michelle Obama was in the East Bay area of San Francisco. Harris was born in the East Bay area of San Francisco, and she was the city attorney general of San Francisco. More confirmation that Ann W. here in this sign, and Michelle Obama on September 18th are in fact revealing the addition of 5 plus 5 days. NW resigned from 23andMe, and Adrian W., both of those are Woj's, by the way, was known for his Woj bombs. His announcement of his resignation was itself a Woj bomb. He walked away from $9 plus $11 million a year. W is the 23rd letter. Again, and W resigned from 23andMe. The 23rd letter and 23andMe hint at adding 23 days to reach the date of the predicted date of the dirty bombs in Manhattan on October 11th. Manhattan, the location of the events of 9/11. So we are expecting dirty bombs and a mass evacuation from Manhattan Island as communicated through God's big picture of signs. And it seems that these signs on September 18th revealed the precise date, because the Adrian W., known for his Woj bombs, walked away from 9 plus 11 million. That's a hint at Manhattan and the bombs that they're going to be coming to Manhattan. And we have a couple of hints at the number 23 because their names are W's and they're exotic Polish names which are difficult to pronounce. So that is, in fact, more emphasis on just referring to them as W's. But anyway, they're both Woj's as well, and that's confirmed as also being relevant because that equals 48, and the 48th president is the Antichrist, so that's like a second witness to the prophetic relevance of Woj. But Adrian W. was known for his quote-unquote Woj bombs, and Barack Obama is a hint at this as well. So that's why it seems that 23 days later will be the predicted dirty bombs in Manhattan. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video. And once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more. Don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the BitChute.com or the Odyssey.com channel. And do it now in case you aren't able to later.